The Awakening. In the vast emptiness of space, there was a deep and quiet darkness. This darkness, known as the Void, held many secrets. Hidden in this emptiness, far from the busy centers of known space, lay a secret base where humanity had waited in silence for a long time. The base was small at first, built on the edge of the void, where no one would look for it. Here, a powerful fleet of human ships lay dormant. They were waiting for the right moment to wake up and show the galaxy their true strength. One cold and silent night, the first signal came. In the heart of the void, a soft light began to glow. It was as if the darkness itself had decided to wake. Slowly, one by one, the ships in the hidden base began to stir. Their engines hummed softly, and lights turned on across their hulls. In every control room, screens flickered to life as the crew inside took their seats. They knew that today was not an ordinary day. Today, the long sleep was ending. Captain Lyon, the leader of the Armada, watched the awakening with calm determination. He had spent many years preparing for this moment. His eyes scanned the control panels as he gave orders in a clear, steady voice. "Prepare for departure," he said. His voice was filled with hope and the weight of responsibility. The crew trusted him completely. They had all seen the signs, the stirring of the void, the mysterious energy that flowed like a river in the dark. It was a call that they could not ignore. As the fleet came to life, the ships began to move. They left the safety of their hidden base and entered the open space of the void. The ships were not large, but together they formed a powerful armada. Each ship was built with care and equipped with the best technology that humanity could offer. They carried the dreams of millions and the spirit of a people who had long fought for freedom and survival. The awakening of the Armada did not go unnoticed. Far away, in the heart of a mighty empire, leaders and soldiers felt a chill in their hearts. They had long thought that their power was unchallenged. The empire had ruled over many worlds, and its might was known to all. But now, a new light had appeared in the darkness. It was a light of hope for some, and a warning of trouble for the empire. The news of the awakening spread quickly among the empire's ranks, and fear began to rise. Back with the Armada, the ships continued to move gracefully. They sailed like a fleet of stars across the black sea of space. Each ship had its own crew, each crew filled with determination and courage. They remembered the many stories of past battles and sacrifices. They knew that this moment was the beginning of something great. For them, it was not just the start of a journey, but the dawn of a new era. In the command center of the flagship, Captain Lyon studied the screens. The data showed that the energy from the void was unlike anything they had seen before. It was as if the void was giving them strength, a power that was both mysterious and strong. The crew worked hard to understand this power, knowing that it might be the key to their victory against those who had oppressed them for so long. The first signs of resistance came in the form of small enemy ships that patrolled the outer edges of the Empire's territory. These ships were part of the Empire's watchful eyes, sent to keep an eye on any unusual activity. When they saw the emerging Armada, their sensors picked up the strong and unusual signals coming from the void. They quickly sent a warning back to the Empire. The leaders of the Empire looked at the data with worry. They had never seen anything like this before. For a long while, the human Armada sailed in silence. There was no immediate battle, only the sound of engines and the soft hum of life aboard the ships. This calm allowed the crew to prepare for what might come next. They checked their weapons, tested their shields, and set their courses toward the heart of the Empire's territory. Every step was taken with careful planning and a clear purpose. The fleet knew that the Empire would not let this new threat pass by without a fight. Captain Lyon walked the narrow corridors of his ship, meeting with officers and listening to their ideas and concerns. He saw hope in their eyes, a hope that had been dimmed by years of struggle. Now it burned brightly again. He told them, "Today, we show the galaxy that we are not defeated. We have learned from our past, and now we will rise." "The Empire may be strong, but our spirit is stronger." His words filled the room with quiet determination. As the ships moved further from the hidden base, the vastness of space opened up before them. The stars shone like countless beacons of hope, and the dark void between them whispered of endless possibilities. The human armada was ready. They were not just a fleet of ships, but a symbol of a people who had refused to be broken by fear. They carried with them dreams of freedom, of a future where humanity could live in peace and light. In that moment, in the deep silence of the void, humanity's true power began to shine. The awakening was not just the start of a journey. It was the beginning of a new chapter in the long and hard fight against oppression. The Empire would soon learn that fear was not a tool to keep them down, but a signal that change was coming. And as the Armada moved forward, the galaxy watched with bated breath, knowing that something important had just begun. The journey begins. With the Armada awakened, the human ships left their hidden base and began their journey into the unknown. The vast darkness of the void stretched out before them, filled with distant stars and swirling mists of energy. Every ship moved with careful precision, as if they were leaving behind an old life and stepping into a new era. Captain Lyon stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as familiar space faded and new, unexplored regions came into view. His eyes were fixed on the star charts, but even those could not show the secrets that lay ahead. The crew felt a mix of excitement and worry. They knew that the journey would test them in ways they had never imagined. The ships sailed slowly at first, as if they were taking a moment to remember their long sleep. In the quiet hum of the engines, every crew member had time to reflect on what had brought them to this moment. There was a gentle rhythm to their movement, and for a brief time, it felt as if they were in a calm sea before a coming storm. Yet, the journey was not without its challenges. As the Armada moved further from the safety of the hidden base, strange signals began to appear on the communication screens. These signals were not like the friendly beeps of a working system. They were mysterious and filled with unknown patterns. The science team worked quickly, trying to understand the origin and meaning of these messages. Their discussions filled the corridors of the ships, a quiet buzz of concern and curiosity. In one of the smaller vessels, Officer Mara studied the signals with great care. She was known for her sharp mind and steady hands, and her colleagues trusted her judgment. "There is something out there," she said softly to her team. "It feels as if the void is speaking to us, guiding us towards something greater." Her words brought both comfort and a hint of unease. If the void was trying to tell them something, what could it be? Meanwhile, in the command center of the flagship, Captain Lyon planned their route. The Armada was headed toward the edge of the Empire's territory, a place where the enemy's patrols were known to wander. The journey was not just about exploring the darkness. It was also a bold move to challenge an empire that had long ruled with fear. Every ship, every crew member, understood the weight of their mission. They were not only travelers in space, but also warriors on a path to reclaim freedom. As the fleet pressed on, small groups of ships were occasionally called to check on their neighbors. The camaraderie among the crews was strong. They shared stories of past battles, of lost friends, and of the hope that drove them forward. Even in moments of silence, there was an unspoken bond that kept them united. Each captain communicated with another, offering words of encouragement or advice, making sure that no one was ever alone in this deep, dark space. The stars around them glimmered like tiny beacons of hope. Occasionally, a comet or a stray asteroid would pass by, reminding the crew of the dangers that lurked in space. These moments of natural beauty were interspersed with tense discussions about the unknown. What lay in wait beyond the next cluster of stars? Would the mysterious signals lead them to new allies or new enemies? Every new detail added another layer of suspense to their journey. A subtle sense of urgency began to build among the crew. The Armada had left its safe haven, and now every moment counted. Each ship's engine seemed to pulse with determination, as if it were alive and aware of its mission. The journey was more than a simple trip through space. It was a test of their resolve. The human spirit, fueled by hope and the promise of freedom, pushed them forward into a realm of uncertainty. In the quiet moments between orders and alerts, Captain Lyon would often stand by a large window on the bridge, staring into the endless darkness. It was in those moments he felt the weight of responsibility. The journey was dangerous, and the enemy was waiting. Yet the light from distant stars reminded him of the strength that lay within every human heart. He believed that with every challenge they faced, humanity would grow stronger and more determined. The Armada's journey had just begun, and the road ahead was filled with both wonder and peril. The void was not just an empty space. It was a living canvas of possibilities, of hidden dangers and untold secrets. As the fleet continued onward, each ship carried the hopes of millions. They were determined to unlock the mysteries of the void and to stand strong against the empire that had long cast a shadow over their dreams. Thus, with engines humming and hearts filled with cautious hope, the human armada sailed deeper into the unknown. Every light year traveled was a step toward a future where fear would be replaced by the bright flame of freedom, and every moment of the journey was a promise of a new beginning. First contact. As the human armada sailed deeper into the dark sea of space, an uneasy calm settled over the ships. In the distance, a faint glimmer appeared, a sign that they were not alone. The crew of the flagship first noticed a flicker of movement on their long-range sensors. It was a small fleet of enemy ships, drifting near the edge of the Empire's territory. The crew exchanged nervous glances as they realized that their journey was about to take an unexpected turn. Captain Lyon immediately ordered his officers to increase the alert status. "Keep your eyes on all sensors," he instructed in a firm but calm tone. The silence in the command center was heavy with anticipation as every crew member focused on the data streaming in. The enemy ships were not large. They were patrol vessels, meant to watch and report any unusual activity. However, their sudden appearance sparked a mix of fear and determination among the humans. On the bridge of one of the smaller ships, Officer Murrah studied the incoming signals. The enemy ships moved slowly, as if testing the waters before committing to a full engagement. Murrah's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the controls. "They are watching us," she reported in a clear, steady voice that betrayed only a hint of concern. Her report sent a ripple of tension through the fleet, as every crew member braced for what might come next. The enemy patrol vessels belonged to the empire that had long dominated many worlds. They were trained to spot any sign of rebellion and to act without hesitation. As the human fleet continued its slow approach, the patrol ships moved to intercept. The first encounter was silent. No alarms blared and no weapons fired. Instead, both sides observed each other, each waiting for the other to make a move. Inside the flagship, Captain Lyon gathered his senior officers in a quiet conference. "We must be cautious," he said. "This is our first direct contact with the Empire's forces, and we must not give them a reason to attack immediately. Let us send a message of peace and open communication, but be prepared to defend ourselves if needed." His voice carried the weight of experience and the hope that this first meeting could be resolved without bloodshed. A carefully prepared message was broadcast on all channels. It was simple and respectful, stating that the human armada was on a peaceful journey, but that they were ready to defend their freedom if attacked. The message also mentioned that they sought dialogue to avoid unnecessary conflict. For a few tense minutes, silence reigned as both sides waited for a reply. On the enemy side, a response came in a cold, measured tone. The Empire's commander, known only as Commander Voss, replied that the Armada had been detected in a sensitive area. The reply was not hostile, but it was clear. The Empire would not tolerate any further intrusion into their territory. The message ended with a warning. If the Armada did not leave immediately, action would be taken. Captain Lyon considered the message carefully. He understood that this was not a declaration of war, but rather a test of resolve. "We have nothing to hide," he said softly to his crew. "We are here to reclaim our freedom, not to provoke conflict. Let's stay calm and follow our plans." He then sent another message, this time explaining that the human armada was on a journey to discover hidden truths in the void, a journey that might lead to a better future for all of humanity. He emphasized that any conflict would only bring more suffering, and that both sides should consider the possibility of peace. For a brief moment, it seemed as if Commander Voss might respond with a change of heart. The enemy ships slowed their approach, and the tension in the control centers of both fleets lightened just a little. However, the peace was fragile. One of the enemy ships suddenly increased its speed, moving in a sharp, deliberate motion toward one of the human vessels. It was an unmistakable sign that the Empire was testing the humans' reaction. Alarm bells rang across the bridge of the smaller ship as it adjusted its shields and power levels. The human crew quickly moved to their battle stations, their previous calm replaced by a surge of adrenaline. Officer Mara led her team with steady resolve, her eyes fixed on the rapidly closing enemy ship. "All hands, prepare for possible engagement," she commanded. In that instant, the first shots were fired. Laser beams streaked through the void, illuminating the dark space with brief flashes of light. The enemy ship's attack was precise, intended more as a warning than a full-scale assault. The human vessel returned fire, its own lasers tracing arcs of determination through space. The battle was not long or furious. It was a brief clash designed to test the mettle of the human armada. Even as the lasers faded into the darkness, both sides understood that this encounter was a turning point. The Empire's patrols had made it clear that they would not allow the human armada to pass unnoticed. For the humans, this first contact was a mix of fear, excitement, and the promise of a new fight for freedom. Every crew member, from the captain to the lowest-ranking technician, felt the gravity of this moment. As the brief skirmish ended, both sides fell into a tense silence once more. The enemy ships pulled back slightly, as if to regroup and reassess their actions. In the wake of the clash, Captain Lyon's voice came over the intercom. "We have sent our message, and we have defended our right to be here. Let us move forward with caution and keep our minds open to the possibility of peace," he said, his tone firm and hopeful. Thus, the first contact between the human armada and the Empire's patrols had set the stage for a larger confrontation. It was a reminder that in the vast, dark expanse of space, every encounter carried the weight of history. The humans had taken their first step into a world of danger and promise, and both sides now knew that the journey ahead would be marked by moments of courage, tension, and the constant search for a better future. The hidden truth. As the Armada continued its journey, a strange and unexpected discovery began to unfold. Deep within the darkness of the void, the human ships started to pick up a series of faint signals, patterns that did not match any known communication. These signals were unlike the usual chatter of space, and they carried a mysterious quality that caught the attention of the science team on board the flagship. Officer Mara, who had studied the signals during a first contact, was now at the center of this new mystery. Working with her team, she analyzed the patterns and soon realized that the signals were not random at all. Instead, they appeared to be a form of encrypted data, a message left behind long ago by an unknown civilization. The data hinted at secrets buried in the very fabric of space, secrets that could change the course of the war. Captain Lyon called for a meeting with his top officers. In the dim light of the command center, he explained, "These signals may hold the key to our strength. They are not just noise in the void. They are a message. We believe they contain ancient knowledge that can help us understand the power we are tapping into." His voice was calm yet filled with a sense of urgency. The possibility of uncovering the hidden truth sparked a new hope among the crew. The Armada altered its course toward a region where the signals grew stronger. As the ships drew closer, they discovered an abandoned space station, partially hidden by debris and the shadow of a long-dead star. The structure was old, its design unfamiliar to modern eyes, and it carried a weight of history that made every crew member feel as if they were stepping into a forgotten chapter of time. A small team was sent from the flagship to explore the station. Led by Officer Mara, they boarded a shuttle and made their way to the derelict facility. The corridors of the station were silent except for the echo of their footsteps, and dust motes floated in the beam of their flashlights. In the central hall, they found a massive archive room filled with data cores and holographic displays that still flickered weakly despite the station's age. In one of the quiet corners of the archive, the team discovered a chamber that held records of a forgotten past. The records told a story of an ancient civilization that had once harnessed a mysterious energy from the void. This energy, the records explained, had been a source of both great power and great danger. It was said that those who controlled it could shape the fate of galaxies. The ancient texts also revealed that the mighty empire, which now ruled with an iron fist, had once sought this power. But in their pursuit, they had lost control, and the energy had slipped away into the dark corners of the cosmos. The discovery of these records shocked the human team. Officer Mara carefully scanned the holographic texts and translated the simple language. "It says here," she explained, "that the power of the void is not new. It has been here long before us. The Empire tried to use it to rule, but they were blinded by greed and fear. Now it calls out to us, asking for a chance to be used for something better." Her voice was steady, but filled with wonder. Captain Lyon listened intently to Mara's findings. The revelation that the void's energy was once coveted, and ultimately lost, by the Empire gave new meaning to their journey. It was as if the Armada had been guided by fate to reclaim this lost power, not for destruction, but for the hope of a future where humanity could live free from tyranny. The crew's resolve grew even stronger with this newfound understanding. They were not merely fighting against an empire. They were fighting to restore a balance that had been lost long ago. Back on the flagship, the captain ordered all ships to tune into the ancient signal. The entire Armada, now united by this hidden truth, listened as the faint, encrypted message played across their communication systems. The message was clear in its simple words. The power of the void belonged to those who dared to dream of freedom and to fight for what was right. As the exploration team left the space station with precious data cores and new hope, they carried with them the weight of history and the promise of a future reborn. The hidden truth had reshaped their understanding of the battle ahead. The Empire's grip on power was not absolute, and the ancient energy of the void could become the turning point in the struggle for freedom. In that moment, as the human Armada pressed forward with renewed purpose, every crew member knew that they were part of something much larger than themselves. They were the heirs to a forgotten legacy, a legacy that promised to restore hope, even in the darkest corners of space. And as the stars shone above them, the journey toward reclaiming that lost power had taken on a meaning that was both personal and universal. Rising tension. As the human Armada pressed onward, the air on board every ship grew heavy with anticipation. The once calm journey had now given way to a growing storm of conflict. The ancient energy from the void had awakened something deep inside the fleet, an unspoken promise of power, but also the weight of great responsibility. Every captain, officer, and crew member felt it. The tension was rising, and the coming battle would test them all. In the vast emptiness of space, small skirmishes had already begun along the fleet's path. Enemy patrol ships, acting on the Empire's command, lurked in the shadows. Their mission was clear: to slow the progress of the Armada and to send a strong message of warning. As the patrols closed in, the human ships braced themselves. The once silent hum of engines now throbbed with urgency, and every hand on deck worked with a sharp focus. Captain Lyon, still at the helm of the flagship, gathered his senior officers in the command center. His eyes, usually calm and steady, now carried a spark of determination mixed with worry. "We face more than just a few enemy ships," he said in a clear, firm voice. "This is a test of our will. Every one of you must be ready. We cannot let fear shake our resolve." His words resonated in every corridor of the ship. Each crew member understood that their journey was becoming a battle for their future, a battle where every decision could mean the difference between victory and defeat. The tension grew as enemy forces began to make coordinated moves. Laser fire cut through the darkness as the first real battle erupted. The enemy ships, though small and few in number, attacked with calculated precision. They fired at weak spots in the human fleet, trying to break the formation and create chaos. In response, the human crews worked quickly, activating shields and returning fire in careful bursts. The space around them lit up with beams of light and swirling trails of energy. It was a dangerous dance of offense and defense. Inside one of the smaller vessels, Officer Mara struggled to maintain control over her ship's systems. Her hands moved over the controls with practiced ease, yet her mind raced with worry. She could feel the pressure mounting, not only from the enemy attacks, but also from within her own team. Some crew members doubted the strength of the ancient energy they had discovered. Whispers of uncertainty spread through the ranks. Was this power enough to turn the tide, or would it fade when they needed it most? These doubts were small at first, but they grew louder with each passing moment of conflict. On the bridge of the flagship, Captain Lyon noticed similar signs of strain among his officers. Some voices carried a hint of fear, while others were quick to point out mistakes in their battle plan. The internal struggles were as real as the external threat. Every decision now carried a heavy burden. "Stay focused," Lyon urged over the intercom. "We have trained for moments like these. Trust in our strength and in the unity that binds us." His call for calm and focus was a beacon for the weary crew. In the midst of the battle, a sudden explosion rocked one of the support ships. The shockwave sent a ripple of panic through the fleet. The explosion was not large, but it was enough to remind everyone of the risks they faced. The injured ship's captain broadcast a brief message of distress, and nearby vessels rushed to offer assistance. In this moment, the crew's loyalty to each other shone through. Even as the enemy pressed on, the humans paused to help, reinforcing their belief that unity was their greatest strength. Back on the flagship, the battle began to shift as the human armada drew on the mysterious power from the void. The ancient energy, stored carefully in each ship, started to glow faintly along the hulls. It gave the ships a renewed sense of strength, and slowly the human forces began to push back against the Empire's patrols. Laser blasts met with shimmering shields, and the enemy ships found themselves struggling to maintain their formation. The battle was far from over, but this small victory lifted the spirits of the entire fleet. Yet, the rising tension was not limited to the outer space battleground. Deep within the heart of the ships, conflicts of trust and belief bubbled to the surface. Some officers questioned whether they were ready for the unknown powers they had uncovered, and whether relying on ancient energy was truly wise. Others argued that every risk was worth taking to reclaim their freedom. These debates, held in hushed tones in the quiet of the ship's corridors, added another layer of pressure to an already volatile situation. Amid this internal turmoil, Captain Lyon made a bold decision. He called for a brief halt in the fighting, a moment of calm to address the growing doubts. In a quiet assembly over the ship's intercom, he reminded every crew member of their shared purpose. "We fight not only for our lives, but for the future of all humanity. We have discovered something precious in the darkness, a hope that can guide us through these troubled times. Let us stand together and use this strength to overcome fear." His words were simple and clear, and they reached the hearts of his listeners, easing some of the internal strife. The battle resumed, more determined than before. The human armada, now more united, pressed on with greater force. Each ship moved as one, their actions synchronized in a delicate ballet of strategy and strength. The Empire's patrols, though persistent, began to falter under the coordinated might of the united fleet. The rising tension had reached its peak, a climax of internal resolve meeting external force. In this moment of escalating conflict, every member of the Armada knew that the war was far from over. But the fight had brought them closer together. They had seen both the power of unity and the strength of the ancient energy from the void. As the battle continued, the human Armada moved ever closer to its destiny, ready to face whatever lay ahead with courage and determination, even in the face of rising tension and uncertainty. The turning point. The battle had reached a critical moment. The human armada, fueled by the mysterious energy of the void, had fought long and hard against the Empire's patrols. But now it was clear that a major decision needed to be made, a decisive action that could turn the tide of the war. In the heart of the flagship, Captain Lyon gathered his senior officers around a glowing table that displayed the latest battle data. The numbers showed that the enemy was regrouping for a stronger assault, and time was running short. "We have fought bravely," Captain Lyon said, his voice calm but full of resolve. "But our forces are stretched thin, and the Empire is preparing for a full attack. This is our turning point. We must use the ancient energy from the void in a new way." The officers exchanged worried looks. They had seen the power of this mysterious force, but using it now was risky. Yet they trusted their captain's judgment. Officer Mara, who had been monitoring the ancient signals, stepped forward. "Captain, our research shows that the energy is not just a source of power. It can also create a shield, a barrier that can protect us in battle. If we can focus this energy at one point, we might be able to break the enemy's formation and force them to retreat." Her words brought a sense of hope, even as uncertainty filled the room. A plan was quickly formed. The flagship would act as the central node to gather and channel the void's energy. All ships in the Armada were instructed to focus their power on creating a single massive energy shield. This shield, if successful, would not only protect the human fleet from the Empire's deadly fire, but also serve as a beacon of strength and unity. The plan was simple but dangerous. It required every ship to work in perfect harmony. As the Armada began to shift its formation, a tense silence fell over every deck. Each crew member knew that this moment would decide the future of their fight. The engines of every ship hummed with a new intensity as they redirected power to the energy converters. The ancient energy, once a faint glow, now pulsed with a vibrant light along the hulls. It was as if the void itself had come alive to aid the humans. On the flagship's bridge, Captain Lyon stood by the main console, his eyes fixed on the growing energy readings. "Now, all ships, focus your energy," he commanded over the intercom. The response was immediate. A chorus of voices, united in determination. Slowly, the human armada began to transform. The scattered glimmers of ancient power coalesced into a bright, almost blinding shield that expanded outward from the flagship. At that very moment, the enemy took their chance. Commander Voss, the leader of the Empire's forces, ordered a massive attack aimed at the center of the human fleet. Waves of enemy ships surged forward, their weapons locked on the newly formed shield. The first salvo hit the barrier, and for a moment, it wavered. Every ship held its breath. The energy shield pulsed under the force of the attack, sending ripples of light through space. But then, something remarkable happened. The shield began to absorb the enemy's energy. The combined force of the ancient power and the human will created a counter-energy that sent a shockwave back toward the Empire's fleet. Laser fire and enemy projectiles bounced off the shield as if they were deflected by a wall of pure light. In that split second, the momentum of the battle shifted. A loud alarm sounded on the flagship as the energy reading soared. "Captain, the shield is working better than expected," reported Officer Mara. Her voice was filled with excitement and relief. Captain Lyon's face broke into a determined smile. "Then let us use this moment. All ships, prepare to move forward. Now is our chance to break their line," he ordered. With a unified cry, the human armada surged ahead. The enemy, caught off guard by the sudden reversal, struggled to adjust their attack. The counter-energy from the shield began to push the Empire's ships back. One by one, enemy vessels broke formation and retreated, their weapons now firing defensively rather than offensively. In the thick of the action, acts of courage shone brightly. A young lieutenant on one of the smaller ships made a risky maneuver, diverting enemy fire away from a group of injured crew members. Another crew member, despite heavy damage to his ship, stayed at his post to keep the energy converters running. These moments of bravery, small yet significant, added up to create an unstoppable wave of human spirit. As the tide of the battle turned, Commander Voss's earlier confidence began to fade. His orders became hurried and uncertain as he realized that the Empire's forces were losing ground. The brilliant energy shield, a symbol of the human armada's unity and hope, was proving to be the turning point in this long, hard fight. The battle did not end immediately. There were still pockets of resistance and scattered skirmishes, but the decisive shift was clear. The human fleet had taken the offensive, and the Empire was forced into retreat. The ancient energy from the void, harnessed at this crucial moment, had given the Armada a new strength that could not be easily overcome. In the quiet that followed the chaos, the crew of the flagship gathered once more. They looked out at the starry expanse, where the remnants of the battle slowly faded into the darkness. Their hearts were filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Captain Lyon spoke softly. "Today, we have shown that our unity and hope are stronger than any force. We have turned the tide of battle, but our journey is far from over." His words were a reminder of both their triumph and the challenges that still lay ahead. Thus, the turning point had been reached, a moment when the human armada transformed ancient mystery into a powerful shield, and in doing so, proved that even in the vast darkness of space, hope and courage could light the way forward. Aftermath and new dawn. After the fierce battle, the human armada drifted into a calm that felt both quiet and heavy. The enemy had retreated, and now the ships floated in the silent vastness of space. On board each vessel, the crew took a moment to catch their breath, clean up their wounds, and repair what had been damaged during the conflict. There was a shared understanding that this victory was not the end of their journey, but the beginning of a new chapter in their long fight for freedom. Captain Lyon stood on the bridge of the flagship, gazing at the star-filled horizon. His eyes, though tired, shone with hope and determination. He thought of all the brave souls who had fought by his side and those who had made great sacrifices. Today, their strength and unity had turned the tide. And now, a new dawn was on the horizon. The fleet had not only pushed back the enemy, but they had also learned the true power of the ancient energy from the void, a power that could bring light to even the darkest corners of space. Back on each ship, crew members gathered in common areas to share their stories of the battle. In simple, heartfelt words, they talked of moments of courage, of friends who had stood up even when fear was strong, and of the small victories that had added up to a greater win. These shared memories helped mend the emotional scars of war and built a stronger bond among the sailors. They knew that the journey ahead would be long, but together they could face any challenge. Officer Mara, who had played a key role in channeling the ancient energy, led a team to review the data from the battle. In a quiet room, lit only by soft computer screens, she explained to her colleagues that the Void's power had not only provided a shield, but had also given them insights into its deeper mysteries. "This energy can heal, protect, and even guide us to new discoveries," she said in a calm, clear voice. Her team listened closely, inspired by the idea that what had once been a source of fear could now be a tool for rebuilding and growth. With the immediate threat diminished, Captain Lyon sent a message to the entire Armada. "Today we have shown the galaxy that hope is stronger than fear," he declared over the intercom. His words reached every corner of the fleet, filling each heart with a renewed sense of purpose. "We have taken our first step toward a new dawn, a future where humanity is free to explore, to learn, and to grow. But our journey is not yet over. There is much to discover, much to rebuild, and many more challenges to face." As the ships resumed their course, the Armada moved slowly toward the edge of the Empire's territory. This move was not a retreat but a careful advance, a time to rebuild and gather more strength. In the quiet moments that followed the battle, repair crews worked tirelessly on damaged vessels, and engineers recalibrated the energy converters that had made the turning point possible. The repairs were not just physical, there was also work to be done in the minds and hearts of the crew. New plans were drafted, strategies refined, and hope was carefully nurtured with every passing hour. In the days that followed, the Armada took time to explore nearby space. They discovered small clusters of stars and even a few untouched planets. These findings were a reminder that beyond the battles and conflicts, the universe was full of beauty and wonder. For many crew members, this new discovery sparked a deep longing for peace, a peace that went beyond the end of the war and reached into a future where humanity could live in harmony with the cosmos. A council was held on the flagship, where representatives from every ship gathered to discuss the way forward. They spoke in simple, honest terms about what they had learned from the battle and from the ancient records found in the hidden station. The consensus was clear. They must use the power of the void not to destroy, but to protect and to build. The knowledge of the ancient energy was seen as a gift, a guide that could help them create a new future for all humans. As the Armada sailed deeper into space, the Empire's influence began to wane in the areas they passed. Smaller groups of people, who had lived under fear and oppression for so long, started to whisper of freedom. The human Armada became a symbol of hope and renewal, a promise that even in the darkest times, a new day was possible. The energy that had once been hidden in the void now shone brightly, lighting the way for a future where fear was replaced by the courage to dream and to build. In the final moments of this new dawn, Captain Lyon looked out over the fleet with quiet satisfaction. He knew that the journey ahead would be full of challenges, but also full of promise. The human spirit, strengthened by unity, and the rediscovered power of the ancient energy, was ready to face whatever lay ahead. With hearts full of hope and eyes fixed on the horizon, the Armada moved forward into a future of endless possibility, a future where the light of humanity would shine as bright as the stars above.